So they have faces like children. And I looked up the etymology of the word cherubim. Closing the window. I looked up the etymology of the word cherubim, and that came out to be caribou. And caribou means they are the blessed ones. And the cherubim are lower level divine beings, and their function as supplicants standing before the God Yahweh and praying on behalf of others. So I thought that was interesting, that they pray on behalf of others. God stationed 2 cherubs outside the Garden of Eden to prevent Adam and Eve from trying to re-enter after they had their whole thing where they disobeyed. And also, the cherubim were divine guards for Solomon's temple, for the Temple of Solomon. He had cherubs standing, I think, out front, if I'm not mistaken. So God would speak between the 2 cherubs on the ark's cover. So that's pretty interesting too, that God would speak between the 2 cherubs. And I believe in this Temperance card that this is, of course, like I said again, the angel of the Lord, the angel of Yahweh. And of course, we can't communicate with God, just me communicating with him, because he's so powerful. So he communicates to us through angels and sometimes people. But he communicates through the angels, and that's why that is the angel of the Lord. And he's one of the top ones. And he's communicating to the saints, to me, in this card. Between the 2 cherubims. Now, if we move on from the wings and we look at the flowers next to the angel, those are yellow irises. They usually grow by the water, which they're by a pond of water. The yellow iris, it means it's the mytho rainbow goddess, and that was used as a bridge to heaven, between heaven and earth. And the yellow represents passion, royalty, faith, wisdom, hope, and valor. And I think that's really interesting that it means rainbow, because on the 10th chapter of Revelations, there's an angel that comes out, and he has feet, his legs were like 2 pillars, and 1 foot was in the water and 1 foot was in land, and his face was like the sun, where you can see this was the sun. That circle and dot represents the sun. But in Revelations 10, his face was like the sun, and I think he had a rainbow above his head. And the yellow iris represents the rainbow. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Also, as you see down here, by his feet in the water, I noticed something. There's initials, the initials of I, H, and Y. And I figured, what is that? You know, just like the name of Yahweh is on the chest above the triangle, and it's kind of hard to make it out that it's Yahweh, and I'm pretty sure that's how they want it to be. They don't want to give all the symbols away. You have to kind of like search for them. But that is a I-H-Y. And it's right. It looks like it's the water waving over his feet down at the bottom, but it's a I and it's a H and a Y. And I looked it up. I googled IHY, and it turned out to be something. It turned out to be, where did I get it at? It's over here somewhere. Ooh, it's pretty interesting. So the IHY is an ancient Egyptian mythology. It's a mythological figure who represents the ecstasy of playing the sistrum. And the sistrum, it may mean the sistrum player, IHY. The god Horus is IHY's father. IHY was depicted as a nude child with his finger in his mouth. Hathor was his mother and Horus was his father. And IHY was depicted as a child holding a sistrum. It represented childhood, joy, and music, a child god. He is depicted with side locks of braided hair, which show that he is of the age, that his age was not more than 14 years old. One hand holds his finger to his mouth. But he wasn't more than 14 years old. I thought that was interesting that they would use that 14. And I looked up pictures of him. It was pretty interesting. He's always got a little sistrum in his hand, little instrument that played music in Egypt. But all of this ties into Revelation chapter 14. As it starts off, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads, Yad He Vah. And I heard a voice from heaven as a voice of many waters, as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. Now, the IHY figure is not more than 14 years old, like chapter 14 in Revelation. That's cool. That 14. But he would play the music for his father and his mother and the people, and they would just love him because, like, he was a kid and he was joyful and he was loving. And just like with the 144,000, and they sung as it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders, and no one could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb wherever he goeth. Those were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. And I believe that they really wanted people to know about that IHY, and that he connects to the IHY God, which is the sistrum player. Plays the sistrum, and he's all happy and childhood and joy and music, just like the 144,000 will be before the throne playing their harps for God the Father, for Jesus the Lamb. And it's going to be beautiful. And I can see it. I can totally see it in this card. I can totally see it. Yep.